let's talk about my top 5 games of 2021. Of course, if you didn't know, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I'm a fanboy. Not really. I'll shit on Nintendo every so often. But most of my top 5 games of 2021 were Nintendo Switch games, just letting you know right off the bat. First off, my top 5, I'm going to start from the bottom. Top 5 is Game Builder Garage. Listen, I am not a very smart person. I'm capable enough to do a lot of things. But Game Builder Garage really made me understand in a very simple way how game design works. I know it's not like technically the same, once you beat Game Builder Garage, at least like the stages and the games that you build on that game, you don't beat them and you can't really put them in your resume if you're trying to be a game designer or a game developer, of course. But it does really break down the idea of how games are made and how games are designed more than anything. And I really appreciated that. Like, it made me feel like a kid again, like exploring new hobbies, falling in love with other hobbies that you probably didn't think you had an interest in. Like, it really felt like learning how to ride a bike. Once you got it, you were like, yo, the world is my oyster. I can do anything. And to be honest, it really made me appreciate game design a lot more because, it is hard work trying to come up with ideas for some of these games. People have been making amazing stuff on Game Builder Garage, like full on, straight up, full experiences. Like, you can play these games for hours on end, and they're all user generated content. And just knowing that these are just kids using their Switch to create games, it's just mind-blowing. It's just amazing. I recommend, if you're into if you're interested in game design, even if you're just interested in how these things are made, how the things that you most enjoy games are made, you're gonna have a good time. And it's super entertaining. It's very charming. Like, the notes, the actual things that are used to design these games have character, have personality behind them. And like, the developers did a great job at adding personality to these little notes, because you're like, yo, first of all, you're creating a game, basically an engine that you can create a game on, and then you still give these little tools personalities. That's wild to me, man. That's just a lot of work that went behind this game, and it's not a full $60 game. I think it's like $40. I think I bought it for like $35. I'm not too sure. I don't remember. It came out in June. And but one of my top favorite games of 2021. Next up was Monster Hunter Rise on number 4. I tried playing Monster Hunter World when it was at the peak, before Monster Hunter Rise was even announced. I played it on the PS4, and to be honest, it wasn't my jam. It just wasn't my jam. The controls always felt a little janky. The movement was a little sluggish for me. And I know that it's, you just need experience to like get to a certain level to really enjoy Monster Hunter games. But Monster Hunter Rise really kind of took a step back and made it a lot more accessible for dum-dums like me. Don't take offense if this was your first Monster Hunter Rise game. Like, believe me, I'm just really dumb. I couldn't pick up Monster Hunter World right off the bat. But it made movement a lot more faster. It made it a lot more enjoyable to move around these worlds, especially with the bugs. I can't recall off the top of my head right now what they were called, but there were these bugs that you would kind of like sling like Spider-Man to, and like really help you move around the world in a faster paced fashion. And to be honest, it really helped with the pacing of the game. Of course, Monster Hunter games don't have that deep of a story, but the at least the design behind the monsters is amazing. The game looks beautiful. It runs pretty stable enough. I think it runs at 30 FPS, but still, it is on the Switch. It's a portable system, and it ran amazing for me. I loved my time with that game. I really did. I put a lot of hours into it. I found myself enjoying a Monster Hunter Rise, like a Monster Hunter game in general, and I was like, damn, this is amazing. Like, I could never understand the controls, I could never understand the weapons, but this game does a great job at bringing all the knowledge and all the background that a lot of Monster Hunter enthusiasts already had because of previous games to a more kind of casual audience, in my opinion. And it's just so fun. It's such a fun game to get into, and it's amazing. I enjoyed it so much. They added a lot of things into the game to make it feel new, to make it feel fresh. So with the PC release coming up pretty soon, I'm sure this game is just gonna explode even more. It's amazing. I think it's the perfect Monster Hunter game, in my opinion. In the third position is a game that I recently beat with my girlfriend, my beautiful girlfriend. It Takes Two. I now understand why this game won Game of the Year. Jesus Christ, man. Just based off the story, this is a heartwarming story about a married couple that are going through some really hard times, and they're trying to like save their marriage, save their family. And to be honest, it was very heartwarming. It didn't feel like forced. None of the story elements felt forced. It was really well written. The characters are so funny, so charismatic. And to be honest, like, I'm just amazed that this game is a multitude of games. If you played it, if you played through it, you would understand what I'm saying. There's a flying section, there's a fighting section, like a 2D fighting section. There's a section like a racing section. There's like anything and everything, any kind of genre of gaming that you can think of is in this game. And they added to the story, to the gameplay in such I don't know how to say it. It's just a very seamless transition from one section to the other. Like, there's never any like, oh, we gotta stop and like recollect ourselves. You know, there's not like, oh, this chapter has ended, we're moving to the next one. No, it's constant, going from one section to the other, and the story just builds upon that. It is an amazing game. Of course, you can play this game. I mean, it's meant to be played co-op. So if you don't have someone to play with next to you, you can play online. I didn't test out the online that much because, as I said, I beat it with my girlfriend. And honestly, it's just an amazing game to play with friends. It is just, I remember seeing it when it first came out, early 2021, seeing streamers just like, just create, it creates amazing and funny interactions, because to be honest, this is one of the best co-op experiences on modern consoles. It is amazing. I don't know what else to say, man. This is just one of my top favorite games of all time, to be honest. I recommend it fully, and it's pretty cheap right now, so go ahead and get it for a PlayStation. I think it's on Xbox as well, not too sure, but it's a great game. For my number 2 is Bowser's Fury. This game, man, this game came out of left field. Nobody expected it. Nobody knew what it was when it was announced as a package with Super Mario 3D World. But my God, man, if Nintendo can do something, is open world. And I feel that the way that they implemented open world elements into a Mario game was made amazing. Like they kicked it out. They swung it out of, I don't know what the fucking saying is, because I'm that excited about to talk about this game. But Bowser's Fury really implemented amazingly well the open world idea into a Mario game. It feels seamless. It feels fun to play. It's a really short game. I think you can beat it in like 5 hours or less, but it's still such a good addition to a game, to like especially a re-release such as Mario 3D World. But I think Nintendo used Bowser's Fury as a kind of like a way to test the market and see if people would actually be excited to play a Mario open world, and I think they hit it out of the park again, using sayings that I don't even know what they mean, or don't know the correct way of saying that. But it is an extremely fun game. I really do recommend it. It's a shame that it wasn't released on its own, that you gotta buy Mario 3D World with it. But at the same time, Mario 3D World is a great game. It's a classic Mario game. Like, no Mario game ever misses, except Mario Hotel, but whatever. But I really enjoyed my time with that game. I did a full video on it. I'll link it up somewhere. Wherever you're listening, watching this, I'll link up my review of Bowser's Fury, so you can get more of an idea on my thoughts on that game. And on my number 1 top spot for games, my top 5 games of 2021, none other than a game that took almost 20 years to make, Metroid Dread. I played Metroid games since I was a kid, since I had a GBA. I started playing Metroid Fusion, and I didn't really know much about Samus or Metroid in general. All my knowledge from Metroid legitimately came from Super Smash Bros. On the N64. I didn't know who Samus was. I thought Samus was a man. Turns out she's a woman. And when I found out, I was like, yo, wait, I need to check out this game. I remember getting Metroid Fusion from one of my friends for my Game Boy Advance, and I never beat that game. I was so afraid of that game. Really freaked the hell out of me. It had such a creepy vibe behind it that I was like, this game is something else. This game franchise is not very Nintendo like, but at the same time it's like the more mature side of Nintendo, and they kicked it out of the park. Again, why am I saying these things again? Why do I use these same sayings that I don't know how to say? Whatever. Metroid Dread released after, if you don't know the history behind Metroid Dread and its development cycle, it is one of the most interesting stories in gaming history, in my opinion. But it finally released after 16 or 17 years in development, and to be honest, it is one of the best 2D Metroidvanias. I mean, Metroid is what it's called. Metroid created the genre. It's one of the best experiences ever on the Switch, to be honest. If you're a fan of puzzles, if you're a fan of exploration, if you're a fan of like really action heavy battles, it's an amazing game. It's gruesome. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult game, but it's not unfair. Like the controls feel so smooth that nothing ever feels unfair, because any mistake that you make in the game is your mistake to own. It's not the game's fault. It is very responsive. Samus moves so smooth in the game. It feels so good to go from one side of the room to the other because of just how fluid Samus movement is. And to be honest, all the elements that they took from Samus Returns, the 2019, I don't know, I need to fact check that remake that they did, Mercury Steam did for the 3DS. They implemented a lot of those elements into Metroid Dread, and I'm so glad that Mercury Steam were the ones in charge of this game, because they I gotta stop saying they kicked it out of the park. They did an amazing job, is what I'm saying. And to be honest, as much as I love It Takes Two, I still believe Metroid Dread was supposed to be the game of the year. But at the same time, the gaming landscape, gamers as a whole have changed so much. Their tastes have changed so much that, to be honest, like a Metroidvania game would probably never win in today's landscape. Maybe in the 90s, maybe in the 80s. Well, definitely in the 80s. But yeah, it is one of the top best games on the Switch, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is a gruesome, super surprising, and very like engaging game. I just can't hype it up enough. It is amazing. You need to play that game. If you have a Switch, you need to play the game. And if you haven't played that game, what the hell are you doing?